How's it going, y'all? It has been a very busy couple of weeks, and hence why I haven't really been around. I don't think there's going to be much that I'm showing on the screen, because I don't have everything hooked up, and right now, honestly, I'm doing this video kind of off the seat of my pants, because I'm still super busy, but there's some stuff I wanted to talk about on this channel. So, this month is a lot of different awareness months. I think it's actually even on a very broad scale. Hang on, I'm gonna look this up, and I think you can see my screen, so that's cool. I think it is... Oh, I don't have a browser. Awesome. I think it's Disability Awareness Month, which would make sense because I know it is what is called Meet the Blind Month, which I think is a very strange, but kind of cool way of saying, you know, Blindness Awareness Month or whatever. I think that's an NFB thing. I could be wrong. I'll look that up too. Go away. I don't care about who's using Chrome. Okay. So it's Meet the Blind Month, and it's also National Dwarfism Awareness Month. And so I thought that this would be a good time to talk a little bit more in depth about some of my personal experiences. I know I use this channel to sort of talk about games and showcase things that I'm doing throughout my life that I think are cool or whatever, but also a great avenue and a great way to raise awareness about some of the things I deal with on a daily basis. And lately, since I've been kind of going out and doing more things out in the community, I've been getting a lot of questions, which is fine and totally great, and meeting new people, which is also totally great. But, you know, the more information that's out there, the less questions I need to answer, and as much as I don't mind answering questions, sometimes answering the same 10 questions over and over and over again get a little tiring. So, let's look up these facts before I start telling you the wrong crap. Let's see. Yeah, so Disability Awareness Month is in October, and Meet the Blind Month, which is also in October, rather. All these little it's not Meet the Blind Month anymore, but that was a thing that was sponsored by the NFB. There's a couple different organizations that are nationwide that serve people who are blind, the NFB and the ACB, and they both have their own sort of belief system. But the NFB did create Meet the Blind Month some years ago, but it's just Blindness Awareness Month now, apparently. Or Vision Awareness Month, depending on who you talk to, I guess. So I decided to create this video and call it Meet the Blind Dwarf, because I'm blind and I'm also a little person. And some people might say, man, that title's a little bit crass. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this video as a introduction to all these awareness months is the language used around all these different conditions and how people like or don't like certain terminology. Because that's a question I get a lot, and it's something that I was thinking about over the last couple days, because I had encountered people who were using different terms, and I had been asked that question in a couple of different ways over the last few days. So for me, I am totally blind, and I am also 3 feet 8. So many people who are blind also use the term visually impaired. To me, I think that's sort of a cop-out for myself, personally, because I'm totally blind. So if I say I'm visually impaired, or I have visual difficulties or vision problems, I think that's sort of selling my situation short, because I don't have any vision to begin with. I was actually born without having formed eyes, so I'm blind. There's just no other way to slice that. I have no vision. I've never had vision. So saying I'm visually impaired, or I have, you know, trouble seeing or whatever makes me sound like I can see maybe large print or up close, or lights, or a whole bunch of other stuff that I can't. So I cut the bullshit, and I just say that I'm blind, because it's so much simpler, and I don't care. It doesn't bother me that I'm blind. Blind, 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 blind. I'll say the word blind. Well, I was gonna say till I go blind, but I've already gone blind. It doesn't bother me. It's not a problem. It's not a slur. It's not... Some people will do this thing where they'll go, oh, but she's blind. Okay, it's cool. It's not a curse. It's not like Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. It's not like you're gonna say that 3 times and she's gonna pop out of the mirror or whatever. Blind is fine. It's what I am. It's like saying I'm a woman. Or it's like saying I'm Caucasian. It's cool. You're not gonna catch it. It's not gonna like come over you like the plague. It's part of my identity. So I prefer to say blind versus visually impaired or person who is blind. To me, the less words that can convey the point, the better. It just makes life a lot simpler. Some people really like that whole person first language thing, but to me it's just kind of too wordy. And that'll go back to the next half of this conversation, which is about people with dwarfism. Some people say little person or person with dwarfism, and that's fine. Whatever works for them is perfectly fine. But to me, little person sounds like a child. And person with dwarfism is just too wordy. I have dwarfism, so therefore, in my opinion, I am a dwarf. That doesn't necessarily mean anything to do with, like, fantasy creatures, although I think they're cool too, so, in my opinion, that's one up for me, because fantasy creatures are awesome, and if that's sort of what you connect to me, then I'm not gonna argue that either. Little person, like I said, I think sounds more like a child, although, you know, I definitely understand that as a collective, many of us prefer to be called little people, and I don't really have an issue with that. But for myself, I prefer just dwarf. It's simple, and it's memorable, because people think of Game of Thrones or Tolkien or any of that. Fun little factoid, the plural of fantasy dwarfs is with a V, so I'm actually saying it wrong. It's dwarves, D-W-A-R-V-E-S, and the plural of people with dwarfism is actually dwarfs with an S, D-W-A-R-F-S. Fun little English factoid. So they are, in fact, 2 different words. I think someone told me that Tolkien invented his own spelling of his character dwarfs, D-W-A-R-V-E-S. There's also a lot of questions I get around, like, are you an elf? Are you a leprechaun? Are you a midget? And, you know, depending on your friends, you can sort of make those type of jokes, but if you don't know a person who has dwarfism, I definitely don't recommend making those type of cracks. Most, if not all, do not prefer the word midget because it has a historical sort of negative connotation, meaning like small flies or creatures. And it also has like a circus connotation, like circus freaks, you know, going to watch the midgets perform. A lot of times I get asked that question, or I get the term used towards me, more to the lack of education. I've never had that experience where somebody just screams it down the street. Well, maybe I have, like, maybe 2 or 3 times. But, like, again, a lot of it is sort of due to ignorance and lack of information, which is exactly why these months and these awareness type stuff is important. I mean, I could have posted this any time, but since October is kind of the time where all of this is done, I figured I would do a couple of videos, maybe a little short series on some of this information, so that my followers and followers' friends or followers can learn a little and ask questions and raise some awareness. So I might do some more informational stuff within the next couple videos. I'm also, of course, still trying to do the Minecraft stuff and whatever else pops up my way. As you can tell, as I've said earlier, I am super busy and I have a lot of balls in my court right now, but that doesn't mean that I'm stopping or not responding to comments or anything. So if anyone has any questions surrounding any of this awareness stuff, either as life as a blind person or life as a person with dwarfism, or any type of question in that regard, general questions about disability, whatever, this is the month to throw that out there. Drop it in the comments, toss it on Facebook if you have me on social media, or whatever you have me on social media on, and I will respond to those in a future video. Till then, I have a party to get ready to go to, so I'm gonna do that.